Welcome to Emotions and Eating with Nicola Beer. Nicola controlled her feelings using food for 25 years, so she knows how draining it is to be constantly thinking about or acting out with food. Thankfully, having made an amazing breakthrough in her recovery, her mission became about helping others escape the unsatisfying cycle of frustration and self-medication with food. Nicola is determined to help you find your inner strength so you can be healthy, gain confidence, feel great, and be at peace with yourself and food.
Hi and welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I'm going to be talking today about adjusting relationships through social distancing, isolation, and working from home. During a time where there is so much uncertainty in the world and so many different things to adjust to right now, I really wanted to spend some time talking about one of the biggest topics that is having a huge impact on relationships all around the world. And that is a shift in relationships whilst practicing social distancing, self-isolation, and working from home. In addition to this, you have the added pleasure or pressure of having to spend most of your time with your romantic partner. And this can be a blessing, like I said, a pleasure, or it can be a real pressure. Maybe you've got anxiety about it because you're worried or you are feeling that you are rubbing each other up the wrong way. There's stress, there's tension in the air. So I'm going to offer some tips to help with this. Usually we spend the majority of our day away from our loved ones and cherish the time we have together in the evenings and weekends and when we cuddle up in bed at night, knowing that the week will mean less time together. However, during this period of social distancing and isolation, you may find yourselves waking up together, having breakfast together, and then going about your days trying to get into work mode side by side. This means figuring out who is going to work from home, in which room, where you're going to set up your desk space, making sure that you don't walk in and disturb one another, who gets to study and who doesn't, who looks after any children and who doesn't, how you're going to get the silence you need when you're on group meeting calls, and of course, how to get that right work-life balance. It may become an annoyance if one of you is used to talking whilst working and the other is trying to stay focused and work in complete silence. Or maybe one of you can be a little bit slack about your work and take it easy. Maybe you want the TV or the music or radio on, and the other is feeling more stressed or pressured by the workload, or can get easily more distracted and needs total silence. And then there is the difference between somebody who is used to working with big teams and having regular chats with co-workers, that they end up talking to their partner all day, sharing little jokes, sharing emails that they're receiving. They like talking. And other people that are just like, please shut up. In the politest way, don't speak to me. Now, I must confess that when I was working in an office, which was years ago now, but when I was working in an office, I used to be one of those people that hated being interrupted when I was in the flow of my work. And the reason for that is because if someone interrupted me, I would lose my thread and then it would take me ages to get back into it, which drove me mad. And so I then used to just say to people, I'll get back to you in a minute. And when they started to talk, I wouldn't look at them, but I would just sort of move my hand up and say, like, I'll get back to you. And then I would finish what I was doing and then say, yes, how can I help? And be like the politest person in the world. But sometimes that, like, give me 5 minutes, could be an hour, could be half an hour. It really just depends. But I couldn't give them the attention, even if it was stuff to help me or stuff I'd asked them to help me with, because then that would just take me out of my flow and then I'd get irritated that I'd been out of my flow. And so these things kind of need to be worked out, talked through and agreed on. because you may be getting irritated if your partner is trying to be nice to you, even if they're just asking you, would you like a sandwich? Would you like a cup of tea? Would you like me to put the kettle or whatever it is? It might just drive you insane. Lastly, and most importantly, working from home can mean that it's difficult to set the clear boundary between work time and personal time. Especially in the current climate where there are so many people losing their jobs, it can be frightening. And so some people may feel like, okay, I need to work around the clock. I need to work straight first thing in the morning, and I need to work until I sleep. And that can cause extra pressure and tension at home, especially if people are concerned about losing their job, concerned about their finances. If you're on a commission-based job, then that can also mean that you are doing every extra sort of minute that you can work to make sure that you're still delivering in your sales. In reality, this period of change requires a lot of patience, a lot of understanding, and most importantly, communication. And so I want to talk you through some practical ways to minimize the impact of socialization on your relationship, and how you can use this difficult time to create a healthier, happier connection between you and your partner. So the first one is communication. Clear communication can really minimize disagreements escalating. It also encourages couples to deal with their concerns right away, rather than letting the situation get worse and then having a huge argument. Being able to tell a loved one that your expectations are, and then are coming to some sort of agreement, can be a really, really happy way forward. So are you able to set your expectations? Okay, how many hours are you going to work? Where do you want to work from? Do you want to be interrupted? Do you want to eat lunch together? Do you want to, whatever it is that you want to plan? Being able to tell a loved one what these expectations are, how they can make you happy, is important, and they can greatly reduce the likelihood of arguments erupting. Maybe you want to have your breakfast together and then plan the day, share with each other, okay, I've got these important calls at this time, or I need to be in silence at this time, or can you look after the children at this time? And taking it in turns and planning it every day over a nice breakfast together, or planning it the night before together, so that you're clear on who is doing what, who needs what from each other. And it may be work in progress. You may try different things and then realize, okay, this isn't working, let's try this or let's try that. And also just sometimes people's routines can go out of the window as well. So that's the next thing that I wanted to talk about, planning. If you have children or animals or other responsibilities, it would be extremely beneficial to divide the tasks between the both of you. Devise a plan that includes entertaining, feeding and clothing children, or feeding pets, making dinner, emptying the bins, and all the usual household chores, so that the burden does not fall on one person, leading them to feel resentment or bitter towards their partner. The amount of relationships and couples that I support that say that there's a lot of resentment about household tasks. And this is something that can be easily avoided if there is expectations that are expressed, working together as a team. And I know that maybe sometimes people have decided, okay, we'll use and hire a cleaner to help. And of course, during this social isolation period, you may have had to cancel having any extra outside help. And if that's the case, there's going to be extra work to do in the home. And as you're all at home, there's going to be extra tidying, extra cleaning, extra eating. So it's really important to really work as a team here. Plan together, choose tasks that you like to do. And if there's ones that you both really don't like doing them together as a team effort at the same time can be really supportive. In the plans that you create as well, it's awesome to make sure that you dedicate quality time for you as an individual, getting your own space, and for your partner. Now, I am a complete introvert. I get my energy from being alone. I love solitude. So I'm actually doing fine in this social isolation. But I know a lot of people, they're struggling if they've got a big family and they're an introvert and they're just like, oh my goodness, I just need some quiet time. So maybe sitting outside if you've got a garden, going for a walk around your garden or around your house. I think you're allowed to do that. And maybe just saying, okay, I just need to go and lie down. If your bedroom's the only room where there is and can be silence, just doing something to zone out and be by yourself. So maybe you have that space time together. Maybe you take it on turns, depending on whether you have children or not. And then there's quality time together. Doing things together. It could be watching a movie together, cooking together, playing games. A couple of the couples that I'm working with right now, we are creating fun things for them to do, and they're learning lots of new different courses together and just using this time to bond, using it like a Thanksgiving, Christmas kind of atmosphere where they're like, okay, let's make the most of it. Make the most of neither of us traveling, neither of us working outside of the home, and make this a special time to remember for the children. So how can you make the best of this situation? Building your love, building your connection, dedicating couple time is a really great luxury of being forced to stay at home and stay together. Planning also doesn't have to be about the short-term goals and day-to-day tasks that I mentioned. It can also be times to discuss your future aspirations, your individual dreams, your dreams as a couple, your long-term plans, whether it's a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years ahead, retirement plans, ideas to boost your financial situation, business, goals or plans that you've always wanted to work on. These are just a few of the examples of many things that maybe you could discuss to enhance your relationship. Or sitting down together, having your favourite drink and writing your bucket list. That's a lovely thing to do and to share. And seeing if you can guess what is on each other's bucket list of things that you want to do in the next 5 to 10 years. And then I mentioned routine earlier, and routine goes hand in hand with planning. Just because you're both supporting social distancing or isolation now, it does not mean that you should see it as an opportunity to let all routine go out of the window. In fact, sitting down with your partner and creating some kind of routine together gives you both a chance to ensure you're meeting your own needs as well as respecting your partner's needs. For example, agreeing a time that suits you both to wake up, have breakfast together and start the day. Agreeing a time where you can both do some indoor exercise, whether that's following a YouTube video or signing up to a free ClassPass membership or just doing your own thing, doing some weights or some squats or sit-ups if that's what you like to do. How can you support each other to have that kind of exercising time if that's something important to you? And then there can be routines around who gets a lie-in, who doesn't. A couple I'm working with at the moment said that they are so sleep deprived. They've got a few young children and they're just not really sleeping at the moment. One of them is teething. And so the best thing that they've decided this week through working with me on their online marriage coaching is deciding that, they're going to take it in turns now to give each other a lie-in. And that's like an amazing gift that they can give each other. And then the other one is in the routine mode. And I know for some people this can sound a bit strange. They may feel like, no, we're in this social isolation, we'll do what we want, there's no routine. But